Grow Great is a city government leadership podcast with Lisa Norris and me, Randy Cantrell. Each week we share insights, experiences, and wisdom to help you and your leadership grow great. Our website is growgreat.com. Alistair Begg is a preacher for some church. I had to Google his name because I came across this quote, and I want to talk about this today. Your whole life is being determined by what you're running from, what you're running to, and who you're running with. I happen to agree with it, and so it's the reason why I had to research, well, who wrote that? Who said that? Hi, Randy Cantrell. Greetings and welcome here inside the Yellow Studio. No Lisa today. Lisa is spearheading a number of projects that are massive and have got big deadlines. So she's kind of under the gun right now. All of you in city government can relate to this. Everybody's just running, and Lisa is no different. So that's the reason for her absence. She's fine. She's well. And Lord willing, she'll be back next week. Your whole life is being determined by what you're running from, what you're running to, and who you're running with. Okay, maybe it's an exaggeration, your whole life, but an awful lot of your life. As an old man, I am always thinking back about the old people in my life who largely made me who I am. These people that helped me understand what I really should run from, what I needed to run to, and certainly, probably chief among them, was a real focus on who are you running with. My parents, they knew my friends, and I never did hang around friends that were kind of dangerous. But if I had, they would have absolutely warned me, because there was a lot of conversation when I was growing up about picking my friends and being wise in who I spent my time with. My parents understood that the companions that we have, the people that we run with, really do make a difference in our life. But let's back up and let's start at the beginning of this thing. What you're running from. As a leader, I would hope that you're not running from those things that would really improve you, those things that would really provide some growth and opportunity for you. I understand that they can be scary things. I would hope that you're also not running away from challenges, from difficulties, and many people do. I was just watching Pat McAfee's online show, and he had Kirk Herbstreit on, and they were talking about college football. And Kirk was lamenting the fact that in college football now, with this name, image, and likeness, and just the wild, wild west that is college football, that there's just no leadership. And there's no leadership largely, according to Kirk, because people fear litigation, they fear criticism, they fear all kinds of things. And so there's nobody really stepping up to say, listen, we're going to lose college football as we have historically known it unless somebody steps forward to take a leadership role and tries to wrangle this and put some systems and processes and rules in place that will not just protect the universities, but protect the players. And he's probably right. Leadership can be scary. And according to him, right now, he doesn't see anybody in college football who's willing to face that fear. What about you? What about you? Are you willing to face whatever fears you've got? And sometimes it's hard. It's hard to stare them down. Others, okay, they're kind of sort of scary, but they're not dangerously scary. Listen, I'd be the last person on the planet to advise you to put yourself in harm's way. Much of what I do in coaching people is to let's steer clear of things that would bring real damage to your career. So I'm a little bit like a physician in the sense, first it's do no harm. Before we can do good, let's make sure we're not doing any harm. But it's not always harmful to do those things that feel dangerous, because quite often many things that we think are dangerous, they aren't dangerous. I can give you, for instance, I've encountered a number of situations over the course of my life, and I have advised a number of people over the course of my coaching career who have had great difficulty in managing up or in leading up. How can we serve the people that we work for? Well, that can be a daunting challenge. And if there's any one area of our life that, in my experience, is woefully overthought, it's that one. It's the fear and the trepidation to tell the emperor that he has no clothes on. And it can happen to all of us. But I can't count the number of times that I have encountered somebody who muscled up the nerve, if you call it that, and I would, to have a conversation with the boss, respectful, always being respectful, but at the same time being candid enough that it could help the leader, it could help the boss, and not had the boss recognize it for what it was, value it, and appreciate it. And I can't tell you how many times people have come to me after the fact and said, that went shockingly well. I'm never really surprised by that. And the reason I'm not surprised by that is because the number of times that I have had it happen for me, and the number of times that when it didn't happen for me, that I wished it would. The number of times that I've been in a chair in my office by myself, wrestling with some problem, wrestling with some challenge, seeking some input, and in certain situations not feeling like I need some truth tellers, I need some people that are willing to tell me not what I need, what I want to hear, but what I really need to hear, because we all have these blind spots. Many times we're overthinking things. I had my second guitar lesson. That's right, I'm old. And I had my second guitar lesson. And I made a comment. I've got a 19-year-old young man who's teaching me. It's an online Zoom thing. He's in Central California. And I just connected with the guy. I liked his vibe. I liked his style. I liked the way he communicated online. And so I reached out, and sure enough, he does lessons. He's not the cheapest guy in the world. He's not the most expensive guy in the world, but well worth the money. And in the conversation today, I was telling him, some of these things that you've got me working on, they're really difficult, because I'm trying to get my fingers adjusted to doing things that they've never done before. I'm trying to get both hands to work in conjunction with one another. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to do this, and I got so many thoughts in my head. And I said, sometimes after I put it down, the guitar, and then later I pick it up and I just quit thinking. It can get easier. It can get easier. It's funny how that works. That can work in your leadership too. Don't run from opportunities. Don't run from challenges. And frankly, sometimes they're wrapped all in the same rainbow together. Quite often the opportunities, in fact, I would argue, for me, all of my opportunities have been cloaked in challenge. They've all looked like problems. And maybe they were. Maybe they were problems for me. Maybe they're problems for somebody else, but just don't run from them. These are opportunities that we need to say yes to. These are things that we need to run toward, not from. And if we're going to run toward these things, then it means what we have to run from is our own fear, our own capacity to overthink it. Who you're running with can largely impact both of those. And we all need encouragement, but we also all need people that are truth tellers. We need people that will deal with us in ways that show what they care about is they care about what's best for us. I mean, so often in the workplace, we're in this self-preservation mode. I just don't want to damage my career. And I don't want you to damage your career. I'm not encouraging you to damage your career. But sometimes we get it in our head that if we do certain things, if we do for others what they can't do for themselves, namely our boss, well, I'm just not going to pay that price because there's a risk there. And I'm not saying that there isn't a risk. There absolutely could be a risk. But not all situations are created equal. Let me give you, for instance, I'm running a company and I'm facing a decision and I'm looking to make a decision that's going to have a pretty broad impact. You think I'm going to do that in isolation? Not on your life. Not going to do that in isolation. Everybody seems to have an opinion about it. Some think that it would be a colossally idiotic idea. Some think it would be a brilliant idea. And then there's all sorts of folks in between. And it's very clear to me that people are approaching this from their vantage point and how they see it impacting them. So you kind of have a town hall kind of a meeting. You get everybody in a room together and we all just kind of air this thing out. And everybody's in self-preservation mode. My role then was to try to get everybody out of just thinking about yourself and how it might impact you. And consider that, and let's figure out ways that we might be able to mitigate that. But my objective was really to avoid all the siloing that was happening and going on. It's not a perfect world, and sometimes there aren't these perfect solutions, but it was very clear that people were running away from any proposal or any kind of a new idea for fear that it wouldn't be in their best interest. Well, it's a great way to just to get stuck. To have everybody siloed, have everybody thinking only about themselves, and have nobody considering how what they do might impact others. Now, for me, it largely went back to an old woman in my life who was kind of an HR expert and taught me an awful lot of things. And one of the things that she taught me was our need as leaders to let people know how they fit. And she enumerated that meant let them know how they make a difference. Let them know how their contribution matters. Well, as simplistic as that sounds, there are so many people that go to work every day and they don't see the big picture. Oh, sure, they can see the job that they do, but in the grand scheme of things, they may not have any understanding of how that fits in. All of this speaks to these two things of running toward and running from. And we're right back to where we kind of started, and that's fear. Fear that this is going to cost me something. So as you consider your leadership and as you consider trying to serve your boss, as you consider trying to serve your peers, as you consider trying to serve those people that report to you, keep in mind they also have their fears and they have their concerns. They've also got things that they're running toward and things they're running from. And they may not be the same things you're running toward and from. They've got their own head trash. They've got their own fears, and they bring that with them, just like you bring yours with you. And so we need to give some consideration to folks. We need to have enough compassion to understand they may not be looking at this the way I'm looking at it. They may not see it the way I see it. But there are so many people who are roaming the earth who've got some solutions to problems that top-level leadership absolutely needs to be able to take advantage of, and they're not. Some weeks ago, I was having a conversation with someone and we were discussing things along these lines. And I said, have you ever considered that you might not be giving your boss the opportunity to agree or disagree with how you see the world, with how you see this particular problem? And he said, no. I mean, I hadn't thought of it like that. I said, you don't think your boss sees what you see? You don't think your boss understands what you understand? He said, no. I'm rather certain he does not. I said, but you're making the decision. You're making the decision for your boss that he doesn't need to know, that he doesn't need to see, that he doesn't need to be given the opportunity to understand. I mean, I get fear. I understand fear, but what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you won't be persuasive enough? Are you afraid that a mere conversation will incur such a degree of wrath that you'll be putting your career at stake? To simply voice some kind of a concern, and maybe even not, I said, not even to label it that dramatic, but to just have a conversation and bring a perspective or a point of view to light that your boss may not have considered, but you don't know. So by remaining silent, it could be that not only are you robbing your boss of the opportunity to see what you see and understand what you understand, but you might be enlightened and you might find out, oh, he very much understands. But there's some other thing happening that you don't see, that you don't understand. And by this meeting of minds, you can both kind of figure that out. Or you can continue on with suspicions and questions and wonderings and anxiety. Listen, this is for you to decide. This much is true. Our lives largely are determined by what we're running from and what we're running to. And we need to make sure that as much as is possible in the moment, we get that right. One way to get that right is by being very, very careful and purposeful and intentional in who we're running with. I'm not talking about, as kids, mom and dad worried about us hanging out with, the hellions that were skipping school and doing all kinds of mischief versus the kids that were straight A students. I'm talking about the people that we know that we can most serve and they can serve us, people that have our best interests at heart. These have got to be people that we trust. Yes, they need to be people that we like, but they also need to be people that have a degree of competence and wisdom to help us. This is why I really can get fixated on avoiding that whole smartest guy in the room syndrome, because many people enjoy being the smartest person in the room. The real problem with that is now we're selecting companionships. We're selecting running mates because these are people that, well, I'm smarter than them, and I know I'm smarter than them. No, you want to be in a room where everybody who enters the room makes it smarter. Not long ago, I was having a conversation with a gentleman. He asked how long I'd been married, and I told him, going on 48 years now. And for some reason, started asking, what attracted you? Well, we started dating when we were 18. I said, I was mostly always attracted to girls that were as smart, or frankly, girls that I thought were smarter than me. And honestly, yeah, aside from, the physical attraction, that really was a big player. It was a really big player. I was dating a girl that she made good grades in school. She was very studious. She was sober-minded. She had the qualities that I believed would benefit me, and I felt like I had qualities that could benefit her. And you want that with the people that you're running with. And without sounding so high-minded, I'm going to encourage you to be careful. Be careful who you run with. Be careful who you let influence you. I mean, so many people in a workplace. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm telling the truth. There are so many toxic people in workplaces. There's so many people that are negative and they are just detrimental. Every problem, well, they see everything as a problem, number one. They can complain constantly. They can be self-centered much, if not most of the time. And that behavior can become contagious. You hang around people like that long enough, you will become one of them. There's no question. Any of us are susceptible to that. Conversely, if you can find the people that are competent, that are engaged, that are sober-minded, that are purposeful and intentional and want to do the very best, not just for themselves, but for any and everybody around them, these are special people. These are special people. And while many people can look at those folks and, we hear all kinds of things like, teacher's pet, for instance, in school, you'd hear teacher's pet. And that can happen in a workplace too. And we can avoid those people because, well, we would rather commiserate with that person who wants to moan and groan because sometimes that's what we want to do. We want to moan and groan, as opposed to somebody who would challenge us in our moaning and groaning to consider what we should be thankful for, to consider gratitude. When's the last time somebody did that for you? When's the last time that you began to gripe and moan about something and you had hopefully a friend that challenged you in a caring way to consider your blessings and to consider how great things are and to consider what you ought to be thankful for? That's tough. It's tough because it's easier to just chime in with the crowd and just go with the flow. And so sometimes we need that person who will metaphorically grab us by the lapels and kind of shake us and make us understand, yeah, you're right. You're right. I've got an awful lot to be thankful for. Do you remember when you went looking for this job that you've now got? Do you remember when you really wanted this promotion that you now have? You remember how you felt? And do you remember how you felt when you got it? You remember how thankful you were? You remember how exhilarating it was to get this job or to get this promotion? Do you remember what that felt like? Go back and capture that again. We need people around us who can help us do that. It's a real powerful thing, and it's amazing to me because I've, over the course of my career, especially my coaching career over the last decade or so, I have facilitated a number of groups of people who have joined together to try to help one another. And it's really fun to watch as people grow and as they develop and as they lift each other up. It's really powerful to watch a small group of people band together to support one another. And it's amazing how quickly they rise to the occasion. Makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. I'm starting a third cohort, by the way. An HR cohort. If you are a city manager in the state of Texas and you have an HR director that you think would benefit from this, then I would encourage you to go to the website, beulanetwork.com/cohort. There's an application there. If you are an HR director working for a city anywhere in the state of Texas, this is going to be a group of HR directors who work for cities somewhere in Texas, and there's only going to be 4 of you. I'm just launching the second group. The first group has been together going on year 3. And the second group we've just launched with 4 HR directors from around the state. And I have one member who's ready and anxious for me to start a third group. I had no plans of starting the second group, Certainly had no plans of starting a third group, but interest was high enough that we got the first group filled within about a week or less. And I got one person who's kind of out in the cold. These groups are limited to only 4 people. And so I promised this 5th person, I'll back my ears and we'll do what we can to try to get a third group. But it answers the question of who you're running with. It's not the only answer. It's just one answer. That if you're an HR director working for a city in the state of Texas and you want to be in a group, you want to run with a group of other HR directors in the state of Texas and help lift each other up and go through your challenges and go through your opportunities together so that you can grow as a leader and as a director, and so you can help them do the same. It's pretty powerful stuff. BulaNetwork.com/cohort. Your whole life is being determined by what you're running from, what you're running to, and who you're running with. I think it's wise. Those are wise words, and I think it's wise counsel for us to consider all 3 of those things and to do our very best to make sure we get that as right as we can. I appreciate you clicking play. Thanks for watching and listening to Grow Great, the City Government Leadership Podcast. Our website is growgreat.com. For Lisa Norris, I'm Randy Cantrell. We hope you'll subscribe to the show, and we hope you'll tell a friend.